We'll call the State Fair Community College Board of Trustee meeting for February 22nd, 2024 to order. Before we begin, there are some different guests in the room, and I think I look around and there's several maybe that will be introduced throughout the evening, but I see Jeff Page is here and want to welcome him. Arthur Kuiper is here. And so with the others, we'll be seeing them throughout the evening, but welcome and glad to have all of those of you who have joined us. So I would also like to mention Tim has an excused absence, so he will not be with us tonight for our board meeting. I would entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Lisa, do we have any citizens' comments?
Yes, we do. We have Mr. Arthur Kuiper, who would like to speak to the board regarding the farm.
Come on, Arthur, come on up to the
Well-
podium. Welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity. Just briefly, I grew up and went to high school at Lincoln. I'm a former student of the college ag program here. And so with that background, I was just thrilled when the college board made the decision to buy the neighboring property and call it the school farm. And I'm so glad that worked out. I was quite concerned when I saw this article in the paper. It kind of almost put the college on a kind of a bad light almost, that's going to require compromise on their behalf. And so I watched a little bit of your previous meeting in January, and I was just so happy when the board made the comments. I know there was a lot of unknown information at that time. I know Dr. Bates stated that he didn't know how wide the road would be or entrances, exits. Bottom line is though, the road, anything that splits the farm in half would just limit the possibilities for it so much. And I think it would have opened the door to others wanting to take a little piece here and there to develop. So I'm just so pleased with the board, the reasons you all gave. It showed you did some homework, but yet you took a firm, timely step that says we don't want a road going through this property. I know sometimes, things can happen in the future, but for now, I was just so pleased with the statement that you all made and good for the ag department. And also, there'll be other times coming down the road, I'm sure, when I'm done gone and some of you are no longer in the positions you are, there'll probably be some, 10, 20 years down the road here that will want to, do something more with it. But there's just nothing like having land close by. And I think, given time, the ag department will make good use of that and it will benefit students for many years to come. So thank you for taking the steps you have. And I hope that, you see fit to stand by that and protect it as a farm rather than a piece of ground for development.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming and expressing that and appreciate that you're continuing to follow what State Fair Community College does. Thank you.
Yes, and just one moment of a disclaimer. I do try to kind of keep in contact with the ag department from time to time. None of those said anything to me about appearing here tonight, and I did not share with anyone that I was going to do this. So there is no undercover motive here. It's just something agriculture is dear to me, and I know what having ground nearby, what a blessing it is. And so I just want to compliment the board on taking that step. And as I said, hopefully you'll see fit to stand by that.
Thank you. Thank you. Now you're welcome. We have one more chair that you're welcome to come and sit. You don't have to watch it online. You can come and sit right here and enjoy it.
I probably will be stepping out soon.
Thank you for coming.
Yes.
Looks like we're ready for introduction of new employees.
Deep Rush.
Hello, everyone. I have two individuals to introduce to you tonight. So we'll start on Zoom. First, we have Miss Taylor Fields on Zoom. She's coming on. I can see the change happening. Maybe. Can you hear us, Taylor?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can sure hear you.
Okay, great.
We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Okay.
So Taylor is our new Eldon site coordinator. So she is doing the administrative
There you
function
go.
on the campus. Hi, Taylor.
Hi, everyone.
So she, as you can see, has a very bright and energetic smile and personality. So we're really excited to have her on board. Taylor comes to us after spending the last 4 years as a stay-at-home mom. She's got two daughters, 4-year-old and a 9-month-old. So she's really excited to be starting with State Fair Community College, and we're super excited to have her. So thanks.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. It's nice to meet you guys.
We also have Ms. Colby Hutchinson. Colby, you want to stand up? Colby started teaching in our year 1 nursing program in the fall, so November-ish, Colby, is that right? So Colby, she lives actually in Blackwater, and so she has a little commute over here to State Fair Community College, and she's really excited to start her teaching and education career. So she has been working at the University of Missouri Healthcare System for many years, so we're really excited to have her on board as teaching students.
Welcome.
Welcome, Toby. Thank you, Allison.
Thank
Yep.
you. All right, so now we are going to look at the minutes for the January 25th, 2024 board meeting, and I would entertain a motion to approve those. You have a moment, they were sent out in the email.
So moved.
Okay. And your second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Okay, now we're ready for the warrant for the January 2024, so Keith.
For the warrant resolution in your packet, you'll see in the month of January, we dispersed $2,744,346 as shown there. So unless there is any questions, we'll go with that.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
That's a little less than normal.
January's a light month.
It's like month.
Light month.
That's just part of it.
For the cycle, we have fewer adjunct employees, so the payroll is lighter. It just happens that there's less payables in general. So it is our lightest month typically.
Thank you.
So yes, that's a good observation though. Glad to see.
Keeps Keith on his toes, doesn't it? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Now for institutional reports. Dr. Dave?
Well, today we have a report on our campus safety plan, and that's going to be given by Deputy Hammonds and Christine Brown. And Andy, are you joining in?
I just enjoy listening to them talk about safety.
There you go.
Yeah, they're passionate about it, so.
And there you go.
I'm Christine Brown. I'm Operations Coordinator for Facilities. And this is Deputy Curtis Hammonds, and he is our School Resource Officer here. Deputy Hammonds has been a sheriff at the Pettis County Sheriff's Office for 23 years. And he has been stationed at SFCC for the last 2 years as law enforcement and our resource officer. One of the nice things about having him here on campus is, as part of the Sheriff's Department, he has continued access to their resources and training, which is definitely a benefit to our main campus as well as our extended campuses. I'm gonna let him kind of tell a little bit about what he does during the day, and we're just gonna kind of switch back and forth.
And just a little bit extra on the training. So I am officially school resource officer trained. I trained in Jefferson City through the Missouri Police Chiefs Association. So some of the daily tasks that I do, I try to be on foot as much as I can. I do have an office here. It is in the library, but I try to be out and about and on foot and in my patrol car as much as I can. So I will hopefully not miss anything. I think being visible, being out and about, observing is very important. So then also, you know, if there's a situation, if I'm already moving, I think I can get there quicker, respond faster. let's see. So other things that I can do with being a deputy sheriff, if there are any crimes committed on campus, I can investigate those. And make any arrests if, you know, if it's warranted. That's a built-in thing that we have, also along the lines of safety and security. I can also coordinate communication with, other emergency responders. So if we have a medical emergency or fire, I can communicate with them, most of the time. I think almost all of the time, whenever there's, let's say, a medical that we might need an ambulance here, I am able to, I know where that's at and I can get the ambulance here as quick as possible. So, and I do a lot of that. So I do work, any special events that are on campus when I'm requested to do so. I also have worked with the Dean of Student Services and Facilities Management. We work together as a team. That way we can keep State Fair Community College clearly every year. It's very, very important. I am also a member of what formerly was the BIT team, or the Behavioral Intervention Team. We changed the name to CARE Team because we figured out that we were not just dealing with behavioral issues. It was a broad spectrum of all kinds of, if there's a student in crisis, we're here to help. And that's kind of where we focused away from just behavioral. We changed the name of it because we do deal with a lot of different, let's say, student, any type of crisis. We're not decided to be there to be helpful.
Okay, so one thing we've been really working hard at is making some improvements in our safety protocols and procedures on campus, trying to be very proactive instead of reactive. One of the first things we did was to go through and update the campus safety and security policy. And then we also, Andy has them over there. There's a campus flip chart for a quick reference guide to emergency situations. And the last time this was updated was about 10 years ago. And we went through and, you know, titles changed, numbers changed, added a few sections. But we wanted to get that updated and out to the campus. We have begun working with the extended campuses to update their quick reference flip charts. And Deputy Hammonds is working with them on their safety and security procedures. One of the other things that Deputy Hammonds has been a very integral part of is during new employee orientation and new student orientation, he now goes and gives a presentation on campus safety and security. So all new employees at their orientation will get to hear the different policies and information that he has to provide. We've also secured, which is pretty common now, but we've secured Narcan for our campus. So we make sure that all of the campus response teams, we have a red bag. These are active shooter first aid kits that all of the newly founded campus response team will have. And those, it's anything that you might need in a high trauma situation or doing first aid. They will all be, yeah, if you want to, can you tell I was a little nervous? Underneath my desk or underneath my chair. So, but they, what it is, the campus response team, is something new that we started. We reached out to individuals on campus. We looked at, you know, their position on campus, where they were at, what buildings, how often they were on and off campus, and we created a campus response team. What these individuals do is they are trained in,
How many?
right now we have 11 on that team. So far we have had them in fire extinguisher deployment. They have all been certified in CPR, AED, and first aid. We are purchasing radios, so they will all be issued a new radio that they will carry with them. So in the event of any kind of an emergency on campus, whether it be man-made or natural, they would be part of the team that helps to whether it's evacuate employees and students from the buildings, direct aid that comes onto campus. Be first on scene to kind of, you know, keep people back to start the process of handling the situation. We just finished the installation of Knox boxes on the buildings. So if anybody does not know what a Knox box is, it's so when the fire department come up to a building, it has essentially a key in there so that they are able to gain access, whether it's after hours, after the building's been locked down, they can gain access into the building. So we were able to, Andy worked with the city and the fire department and was able to get partial funding for those. So we've now got them installed on all the buildings. Right now, Deputy Hammond is working with outside agencies to bring in another active shooter training on campus. We feel it's very important to have that. So he has begun the process of working with some agencies to try and facilitate that here on campus. Another thing that we are doing here on campus is with the facilities department, is we have started holding monthly safety meetings. And we will have trainings on all various things. The latest one we did was on blood pathogen kits, how to clean up blood, bodily fluids if an accident happens. We worked with them on their role for if there is a natural or man-made disaster, what the facilities department, what role we play in that. Barricades, blocking off areas, transporting, you know, waving down ambulances, whatever it takes. We've stressed to them, and Deputy Hammons has been very key with this, be mindful and proactive of safety hazards on campus. If you see something, you know, don't just turn around and walk off. You know, if you see something that's odd, it never hurts to call 911. It never hurts to call Deputy Hammons to make sure that, you know, everything is okay. All of our staff has gone through the actual fire extinguisher deployment, and all staff members are going through the process of being OSHA 10 and 30 certified. So we're trying to make some strides to make the campus, you know, safer for our employees and our students.
I was gonna add just a couple things. On the campus response team, it's not to take away from my position. But even if it's, let's say, a medical emergency, somebody bumped their head, they need, you know, a bandage held on their head, you know, you can put gloves on, stop the bleeding while we're waiting. So the quicker that we can get somebody help, the better off they're going to be. Even if it only takes me just a couple minutes to get to them, but if somebody is right there when it happens and they happen to be one of our campus response team members, that's a good thing. And I wanted to jump back because I kind of ran over something real fast. To go back to the care team, and I just wanted to throw out some numbers because it is very important. I am very happy to be on the care team. But last fall, we had heard and discussed 64 cases. And then this spring, we have heard and discussed 13 cases. And this would be probably a great time to just mention the possibility of the opportunity that the sheriff may eventually look into assigning me a canine. He has that interest. So right now we have 4 full-time SROs. So we have a school resource officer at Smith Cotton High School. He has an explosive sniffing dog or a single-use dog. So we also just recently have an SRO at Mott School and Smithton School, and all 3 of those resource officers do have a canine assigned to them. So there is that option and possibility that we could also have that here. I wanted to make sure that I put that in.
What's the length of training that you would have to go through if that comes about?
So the initial training is a 3-month training with me and the dog in Tennessee. And then when we come back, we can actually start working immediately together. And then there will be a state or national certification. I can't, this is still new to me. It's either a state or national, maybe even both, that we would have to do fairly close to getting out of the original school. But the awesome thing is we have done that right here on this campus. So last fall, they weren't the single-use dogs, they were our patrol dogs that have multiple uses. They actually certified in the CTC offices. The certification officer come to us. So that's, and there is some continual training that we'll have to do. But this is all, like I said, this is all pretty. The initial is a 3-month, or a 3-week, I'm sorry. If I said 3 months, that was too much. A 3-week training
better.
in Tennessee. I think.
Wondering how they're gonna do that.
I think I caught myself. Yes, I caught myself. So it's 3 weeks. So, and I can make that a little bit faster if I stay the weekends. Because if there's enough interest to not come back for the weekend, they will continue training us with the dog, and then we can get back with it.
Any questions?
If they students do encounter the emergency situation, their initial phone contact, 911 call, or do we have a direct way for a student to contact you?
Yes, so there's a couple different ways that can happen. So, in the emergency charts, my number is listed in there, because there's an awesome thing that we have done here is that my office phone continually forwards to my cell phone that belongs to the college. So, and my number is office number and cell phone number is also posted online. We also try to teach as many students to notify as many students as possible. The other really cool thing is if they do have to call 911, right now, I will immediately get a notification if it's from an office phone, but if it's from a cell phone, then the central dispatch that gets the 911 call would immediately notify me. So there's some built-in responses there.
We communicate to the students how they should, if they encounter an emergency situation, how they should make the contact.
These response plans are in every classroom, in every,
You used to have one on the wall back there, didn't you?
it's still there.
I remember there used to be one on the wall.
I noticed we have a lot of AEDs around campus. Is there any plans to put one across the road at the residence hall that we use over there? Because I mean,
They
looking at
have
this, okay, I just didn't,
Yes, the red part. No, the resident, oh, you mean across over?
I mean, because where do we have
We
this?
do not have one over there.
Any
So that
plans?
is something we can
There
definitely.
is, we have requested another AED from the hospital that has donated those for deployment in an area. It wasn't there and I can't remember for sure where it was, but, we've actually requested 2, I think. Yeah,
We have requests out for a traveling one for athletics and, one for the hygiene.
thank you.
You're welcome.
So will there always be one with an athletic team, like if softball somewhere and baseball somewhere else, for example, or is it just one?
I was gonna say that it's a request for one,
Okay.
so I don't know how they'll decide where to go.
Any other questions? I do want to compliment Deputy Hammonds, Christine, also Andy and Dr. Porter. It truly is a team effort but I applaud these two particularly. We had some reorganization, some change in passing of the torch to new people and, you know, Christine is one that raised her hand. I'm not for sure she raised her hand, but yes, I will, and she has done a wonderful job. But together, they really kind of started from scratch, looking at what we were doing and making sure it was right, they made a lot of changes that were for the better and are continuing to do that. So I applaud the whole team for their work. And Just a reminder, Deputy Hammonds, we have a contract with the county and the sheriff's office for his services, and that's really been a blessing for the college as well, so it's been positive.
We say thank you. All right, now we get to hear about student government, so we've got the SBA president down here. Always brings life to the party.
You'll have to excuse my, I talked about right before I got here, so. All right, well, I just wanted to hit on a few things. As you all know, we did just have homecoming, which I will say, I feel like that was a success. And I feel like our turnout of students, it wasn't exactly what we wanted, but it was still enough that we were able to get rid of all 200 t-shirts that we didn't like. So, you know, that's always a plus. But with that, you know, you also have to think about all the sports teams who were gone that day. We did have one or two that were not here that would normally attend the games. So I think that kind of was part of it. But other than that, I think we had good interactions between students and the community and everybody with homecoming. So I would say that was a success. And then I also wanted to mention, recently we did a student satisfaction survey with Steve Roche, and the first set of surveys has ended. And I will say, I feel like the turnout for that, the amount of people we were able to engage with that was extremely successful as well. Currently, we are looking through those, and then we are going to send out another survey eventually. And once we kind of, you know, find the things that students are most worried about from that survey. So that's just something that we are going to be doing in the future. That's just something we just recently finished up, so. And then coming up, we have the student government elections for next year. And so we are going to be communicating with all the staff and faculty on campus and the students, and we are going to be trying to bring in new candidates for next year. We'd like to make it bigger than it has in the past. We would like to see a big election happen. We'd like to get a lot of students involved. So that's just something to kind of be looking out for. If you know any students are on campus that you think would do a great job, please 100% send them my name or whatever, and I will get with them. I'm willing to work with people and help them with their application, and because I really just want to see it kind of, I want to see it get bigger. And then finally, here soon, the Student Government Association will be doing the Faculty and Staff of the Year Awards. This is something we do every single year. Last year was a success, but we'll be doing that very soon. So also keep an eye out for that. Anybody have any questions about anything? Sorry, I know that was kind of scattered, but.
Thank you, Cameron. Good luck to whoever follows you. You have set the bar very high.
Thank you very much.
Homecoming was awesome. A lot of interaction with students and community, so yeah.
Yes, I think the t-shirt throwing really got people going, you know? You can thank Dr. Porter for that. She helped us.
I noticed you had a pretty good arm too.
I was gonna say, somebody in this room had a cannon back.
I may or may not have almost taken Dr. Porter's husband's head off with it.
You're not allowed.
Look, I think I express how important it is to get student feedback.
Mhm.
That rather than us trying to guess what students are thinking, that the survey is an opportunity for students to speak where we can hear student voices, and so very supportive of your efforts in trying to get response to that.
Yes. And I will say, the amount of text I received the morning that it kind of was sent out and people opened their canvas, my face was on it. I probably had 10 or 15 texts the morning. Oh my gosh, you're on my canvas. So I will say that I have had some students engage with me, or even somebody I work with at the clinic. She's taking classes through State Fair, and she was like, oh my gosh, I thought that picture looked familiar. That's me. I was like, that's me. So I will say I think it's been very successful so far, and we can't wait to see what answers we're gonna get from this and what we need to do moving forward.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. All right, we're ready for the FFPC computer refresh.
So the budget for this year is a fairly substantial refresh of equipment. A lot of it that was refreshed during the pandemic era, which is now 4 years ago, believe it or not. So it's time for those items to be refreshed. So, Mark and his group went out to CWG. We also looked at the prices installed CWG, which is an approved statement vendor. What's still the best way to go? So it's recommended the Board of Trustees approve the bid in the amount of $217,653.37 from CDWG, Birmingham, Illinois, for the FY 2024 technology refresh for laptops, computers, and peripherals, and funding is in the FY 24 operating.
How does this compare with what was budgeted?
Actually, we budgeted 400,000.
We did.
But we've got some others to do.
We have
after
some,
this.
we have some more to go.
Okay,
But the budget has 400,000 for refresh this year.
great.
We're
Thank
looking
you.
for ways to save money
Yeah.
and be more efficient in refresh. So that's why the whole thing's on here, but these are the most urgent ones.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
I'll second. Any other questions or discussions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Same sign. Motion passes. So now, the FY 2025 room and board rate.
Madam President, could we move this item into items 11 first and then do everything after that?
All right, is that okay with the board?
I would agree.
Okay.
I'm going to do what's item 11 right now, which is the Rack Jack Properties Agreement for Stone Creek Apartments. We did this year take out some rooms. We had more rooms we needed, so we did back off the amount of rooms we have there, which will align with the number of rooms we're actually having in the new form, so they match up very well now. So with Rack Jack, it's recommended the Board of Trustees accept the lease agreement from Rack Jack Properties of Sedalia for a period of 10 months, commencing August 1, 2024, ending May 31, 2025. Agreements for 16 three-bedroom units at a cost of $21.9298 per unit per month, which allows for 96 students in the three-bedroom apartments at 6 to an apartment. And 24 two-bedroom units at a cost of $1,834.33 per unit per month. Again, 96 students in the two-bedroom apartments. Total lease agreement is for $791,116, inclusive of utilities, trash, and internet for each unit. Recommend the board that recommend the vice president, vice administration be authorized to sign the agreement with Rack Jack.
Entertain a motion to accept. Motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, so we'll go back to 10. Oh, we're gonna go 12, we're gonna 12, and then we're gonna.
Great Western.
Okay.
We also have our renewed dining services in Great Western Dining. Recommend that the board of trustees accept the renewal option from Great Western Dining for the FY 25 fiscal year. And authorize the vice president administration to sign the agreement, which is year 3 of a 15-year contract. As part of the current agreement. Renewal rates are shown below. But where we are, so we have space for 296 students, which would be that 290 to 299 range. We typically aren't in that range. We're using one of the two below. So you see the rates per meal per day on the 19 meal plan. So if we were at basically full capacity in our residence hall, our rates would be $13.46 per active meal plan and $12.46 per day for a meal plan. So go at fewer students rates. So like to enter into the school.
Well,
I'll second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes on the dining services agreement. Yeah.
So we had a small group, myself, Dr. Bates, Dr. Burgess, and one of Board of Student Services talking about, women board rates, based upon contracts we have, based upon what we know we're going to be having with the dorms. So after much discussion, we felt we agreed to, present to you the following options for women board students. There's a variety of options. So we have a residence hall, we have a 3-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, a 19-meal plan, a 10-meal plan. So those have multiple combinations, and someone wants their own room, they can pay double the price and get their own room somewhere, which we do have people do that, by the way. So the combinations are, if you want, the residence hall, the room rate per semester for the on-campus residence hall will be $1,750. 3-bedroom apartment will be $2,600 per semester, and a 2-bedroom apartment will be $3,000 per semester. 19-meal plan is $1,950 per semester. The 10-meal plan is $1,800 per semester. So then, depending on the combination the student takes, you see the resulting rates there. So I recommend the Board of Trustees approve the room board rates for FY 2025.
Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Have a second? I'll second. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion passes by room and board rates.
A couple of items related to our new building projects, build the residence hall and the CAT. First is item 13. As part of the building, we have entered into an agreement. Recommend we enter an agreement with the independent material tester. One is required by the loan for the residence hall, and 2 is that this will have to have our own person testing what's going on. We did put this out to bid. We had ESS bid. We had Kruger who wanted bid. I think the third one was we bids on this. Kruger was the best bid. Was recommended the Board of Trustees approve the bid of $70,000 from Kruger Technologies Inc. of Lenexa, Kansas for independent materials testing for both the CAT and the residence hall. This number is inclusive of both properties for that. And then funding is from the construction funds, CAT and the residence hall.
May I entertain a motion?
So moved.
Okay, and your second? Any questions or discussion? If we have some things provided with the packet, but all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Well, I know we approved it, but it's a good idea to know that you're building on ground that will support the building.
And Kruger's is one of the best in the use.
They guided us already on something, rating class. So, the next one is, as we all know, electrical gear in all our construction projects has become the largest lead item that we have, and also fairly critical in the operation of the building. With the way the CAT was bid, with the, I'll call it standard lead time for electrical gear, that would have been completed on May 31, 2025. And given what we learned with the fielding facility, there's no guarantee even that would be met. But so they have the ability to do an expedited electrical gear from other vendors. That would move, and I'll just read this in a minute, but would shorten the project by 155 days. It really takes basically 5 full months off and get delivery date on 27. So even if that one's a little bit late, we're still got a good window there to do it. It's not cheap for that. We do feel having the CAT open, we have it open for a full semester that will probably be, financially actually very beneficial to us, have it open. So what we're recommending to the Board of Trustees, approve CAT change order number 1, the amount of $90,758 from Centric Construction Group, Kansas City, for expedited electrical gear for the CAT. These expedited electrical gear will shorten the project duration by 155 days, resulting in substantial completion on December 27th, 2024, instead of May 31, 2025. And funding is the CAT construction.
Entertain a motion to accept.
Motion.
And your second?
Second.
Any discussion or questions?
I've talked with students who would be potential students here or at other community colleges or at State Tech. And the ability to timely enroll in the program immediately in the semester, immediately following graduation is important. So it would, instead of a half a year, it's more like a full year you lose if we don't move the expedited purchase of the electrical equipment.
They're not being shorten the project. So, all right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, appointment of Assistant Secretary of the Board. Are you gonna say anything, Dr. Bates, on that, or?
We are recommending that the Board of Trustees appoint Lisa Osterly as Assistant Secretary of the Board, effective immediately. Board policy allows the board to appoint someone in this position that is not a member of the board. And so we are making that recommendation.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On the same sign.
We should have asked Lisa to step out of the room.
We should.
But then we wouldn't have anybody taking.
All right, ready now for the resolution for new housing facility.
Ron, I have a couple of guests come up and patiently here and explain to you some of the documents that Patty and Lisa signed at the meeting. We are moving into closing financing on the residence hall on March 4th. Actually, closing will be. There are a number of legalities involved with that, based on how we're structuring the deal. With me today is Adam Pope of Columbia Capital. No, Adam has been advising us. Jason Carey of Gilmore and Bell, who is our bond counsel, also is our bond counsel. Both these folks work with us also on the OX and also, I believe, on the David. That. So they went through. I'm going to explain what documents were, what we have, and then get you then to approve the actual resolution. So, Adam, Jason.
No, that's Jason's job.
Looks like we're gonna have a few people step out, probably not working.
No offense.
No offense.
They are lawyer.
Safety is utmost and they know their job.
I'm not Flynn. Good evening. My name is Jason Terry. I'm with Gilmore and Bell, and as Keith mentioned, we're bond counsel to the college. The resolution before you this evening approves it's a lease financing. It is structured virtually identically to the 2017 financing, which was actually a refinancing of improvements to the Science and Health Center in the learning in the Learning Center. And so what we have done is using that structure, we have piggybacked the financing for the dorm. So it is collectively one financing until that 2017 financing burns off, which is in 2027, at which time only the dorm will be used as what we call the leased property. And so the health center and the learning center will not be used as collateral, if you will, for this financing moving forward. We did not extend the use of those buildings for this financing. The structure of the financing, again, is similar to the 2017. What we did is we amended those documents. And so there is a base lease where the college continues to lease the existing buildings and will lease the dorm to a trustee bank, UMB Bank. And the UMB Bank leases them back to the college on 1-year terms. That makes this an annual appropriation deal. So it is not debt for purposes of the college, which requires approval. So there is you'll see a supplemental lease purchase agreement, and that is the lease back to the college. So every year, as the college appropriates the debt service on the lease financing, that appropriation renews the lease for another 1-year term. You may or may not remember there was a Bank of America equipment financing, existing financing. And in 2017, we went to them and said, hey, you kind of have a broad, security interest in equipment everywhere. Carve out the financing we did in 2017. So we went to them again and said, carve out the new dorm. You know, you don't need a security interest in anything in the dorm because you don't have it now. And Bank of America was great to work with, and they were fine doing that. So you'll see a subordination agreement. They've agreed to subordinate their interest into this finance.
Jason, that goes away in 2026.
No, actually, I think that goes to 27 and the CLP's going to 28.
Sorry, that's right. Yeah, yes,
Right.
fiscal year, calendar year.
That's gonna burn off in a few years. And so again, that financing, that equipment financing is not related to this. I was simply explaining that the subordination agreement was approved by resolution this evening, and that's what that relates to. There's a tax compliance agreement. So this financing, which we call certificates of participation for COPS, those are tax exempt, which allows the college to borrow at a lower rate. Folks who buy, in this case, a central bank, when they buy when they lend you money, when they enter into this financing, they're willing to accept a lower rate of interest if they don't have to pay taxes on the interest they earn. And so that allows the college to borrow at a lower rate. Well, with that comes some requirements and regulations with tax exempt bonds. And so, for instance, you're not allowed to borrow money and then build a building for Coca-Cola. Okay. And so we don't have that problem here because you build a dorm for your students. So there are certain projects, what we call governmental projects, which are easier to fall within the guidelines. This dorm will be one of those. Steve and I have talked about some of these requirements. So there's a tax compliance agreement also approved this evening. That is there's a declaration of trust, which is a document the college approves but does not sign, signed by UMB Bank. It contains all of the principal bond terms for these TOPS, these certificates of participation. It is approved by the college, but is not signed by the college because the trustee is actually issuing I'll call it a debt certificate. Are there any questions on that?
A lot of pages for it.
A lot of pages.
For a pretty basic transaction. Or this type of institution financing this type of project.
Well, and that is true. However, the college only has a few vehicles by which it can borrow money, and this lease financing is one of those. And because we had the certificates of participation structure in place from 2017, we actually cut down on some of you may find it hard to believe, we cut down on some of the paperwork by doing a supplemental deal, on parity with the 2017 file.
Any other questions?
I don't know if we'll talk some of the particulars of the financing or.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that when I was here
Oh,
in January.
right, sorry.
But just kind of what next steps after approval tonight, just keep it, will close on March 4th. At that time, Central Bank will wire the funds to UMB. UMB will hold those funds, and then as construction occurs, there's a requisition form that's attached as well that Keith will fill out monthly, probably, and submit to UMB as you get invoices for construction costs, and then those will be paid out from UMB. And then once construction's done, nothing left in that fund, and then it'll just be UMB will still be there as a trustee, as Jason mentioned, and that's how debt service gets paid, transferred to the service payments to Central Bank, the purchasers of the crop. So really,
not much to do between now and then. Jason has some work to finish up on the documents, get everything um, finalized, but with this being of indirect purpose, it's much simpler than a public market transaction. There's a few more moving parts, so that's one thing nice about the structure as well. It's a little bit, even though there are a lot of documents, a little bit simpler than it was. So, and then and it's just get a building built and students in it. So kind of at the, I know it's been a long time coming and probably sick and see, I mean, but this is got a finish line, so. I won't say congratulations quite yet, but maybe at the written time. Yeah, happy to answer any questions about documents, financing, or anything else that you may have.
What we need from you, right?
Before we started out on this, we went over financing options. Agreed that if we could find a private lender, that was the best financing option. We knew that we could consolidate everything together, that would be beneficial to the college, and that everything is sort of fallen and we're just following some of the and ready to execute the decisions that have been made along the way, including the accepting the bid for the contract. So it's time we can start moving dirt.
So I need you all, recommend you approve the following. Resolution that's in your packet, bill resolution authorizing the Community College District of Mid-Missouri to enter into a lease purchase transaction, the proceeds of which will be used to pay for the cost of constructing a new on-campus housing facility, and to approve the execution of certain documents, take certain actions in connection therewith.
Someone, I'll second him.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion passes for the resolution of the new housing facility. It isn't over, but, you
Now the
know,
hard work again.
now the money, you know, we now make it hard work again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Residence Hall Builders Risk Insurance.
So one thing that I'm sure now again, typically in specs we put out, we have the contractor do builders risk insurance, and now that slipped off the specs this time when it went to the residence hall. I looked at getting it ourselves. It was not, I couldn't get a very good deal. The contractor did a much better bill on builders risk. So anyway, this should have been in there. It was in the bid for the CAT, so we just have to add builders risk insurance for this. That builders risk is attached to it, we required. So it's recommended the board of trustees approve the residence hall change order 01 in the amount of $93,998 from Zurich Insurance Group via professional contractors and engineers for builders risk insurance for the residence hall project, and then funding will be the residence hall construction funds.
Okay, I would entertain a motion.
Moved.
In a second.
Second,
Questions or discussion?
with the inclusion of builders risk, we're still under what we had, the amount that we had discussed is what we thought the CAT bid was going to come in at. So this is, we're still financially in good shape.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion passes. And then the 2024 Board of Trustees election budget change.
So this is a budget, approve a budget change. SFCC budgeted $20,000 for the April Board of Trustees election, which was in line with our past election costs. So we budgeted that amount. However, due to the lack of election items on the ballot this year, SFCC will be bearing a larger percentage of the election costs, a much larger percentage. This will result in an election cost of approximately $60,000 to $70,000 this year. Exact costs won't be known until after the election. But it's recommended the Board of Trustees amend the FY 24 budget to add 70,000 for this expenditure, and we'll take that out of our contingency funds.
I would entertain a motion.
Think we have to do it.
I don't know. Do I hear a second? All right, any questions or discussions?
I think this would be something we might mention to the chair of the elections committee in the House when we get this in next week.
You just never know, yeah, how many elections are gonna take place, and then there are very few board elections for one, and so.
And I'd be interested to know how the early voting change has affected the overall cost of elections as well.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Dr. Bates, your president's report.
Just have a short report. I'm going to refer to the calendar that's 2 pages back. I'm going to start off with something that's not on the calendar ever. This week we have Goldman Sachs on campus for their 10,000 small business program. And so we're honored to host the Missouri cohort of Goldman Sachs program, providing training to small businesses. So that program kicked off on Wednesday. There are 23 small businesses, 33 small businesses from Missouri receiving that training. They'll be here this week. They'll continue online training. Some of our faculty are engaged in that training. And some of our staff have already been part of the training this week. And then they'll return in May for 4 more days on ground and have a graduation in May. So there is a kickoff with the Goldman Sachs organization tomorrow, which you all have been invited to and will be attending. Just a couple of highlights of things that are coming up. Note that the play 39 Steps, it's listed in the list is starting on February 27th, but it actually starts February 29th through March 3rd. And so I always say our theater program is one of the jewels in our crown, and I have high expectations this play will be amazing, as they all are. So encourage you to see that. Our first home baseball game and first home softball games are the first home baseball game is February 23rd. And the first home softball game is February 27th. So I'd urge you to see the Roadrunners in action on those 2 dates. On the 28th of February, a group of us from the board and from the college will be visiting Jefferson City to visit with legislators. That visit is divided into 2. There's one in February and one on March 27th. So those of you that have said that you're going to go, I think Lisa sent out a calendar invite to you. And we have some materials that we'll be putting together to support that. So to support that advocacy effort that we're going to do. And so I'll share that with the team as we go down. But we're going to meet with all of the legislators from our service region, and looking forward to that discussion. Spring instrumental concert is March 12th, and the spring choral concert is March 16th. So don't forget those. Then during spring break, the Sedalia Chamber of Commerce is having its awards banquet, and we've been notified that the State Fair Community College has been selected as a recipient of the Chamber's President's Award. And so we're honored to go to that event and accept that award. So some of the board members have indicated they'll be attending as well. And then also during spring break is the Foundation Gala on March 23rd. So those invitations are dropping. If they haven't already dropped, they'll be in the mail soon. So we'll be looking forward to your RSVP for that event. And that the funds for that will go to support our CAT building, and we'll kick off a fundraising campaign at that event. So that's always a good day. So that's my report.
All right, thank you. Any questions or Dr. Bates? Okay, thank you. Financial report, Keith?
The next report, I'll reiterate what I've said before, is looking pretty good. I mean, very good, actually. Our revenues through the month of, January are up 10.6 versus year. Expenses are up 8.5% versus last year, so we got the differential there. I would expect, tuition fees, I like to see about 90% at this time of year instead of 94% of budget, so we will be over budget by that as we anticipated. But overall, it continues to be a healthy financial report. Overall expenditures are lined right at 58.5% after about 58.5% for the year. The mix is a little different. It's expensive, but overall, we're keeping expenses right where they need to be in our budget. So I can say to you that it's we're doing a good job, both on the revenue side and expense. Reports here.
And then you're gonna do.
Then a few purchases made to report on that were within the discretion of us to purchase. Budgeted advertising for Next Star Media, which is probably our billboard, right? Brad? No, that was digital. Spring. Since late software was renewed at 25,000, that's also, all these were in the budget. Children's audio, I believe, is 6 interactive flat panels for the building remodel. That was within the discretion we had, so those were coming out of the building budget for that remodel and finishing up those classrooms and all that. Seven. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, board discussion. So we do want to report back that there were 3 of us that attended ACCT Legislative Summit in DC. Dr. Bates, Justin, and myself attended, and so we want to kind of give you an idea about, what happens when you go. Justin, you want to?
I'll let you lead.
Oh, well, because never knowing what he might say, so I kind of, I usually let them go first and clean it up, but you might kind of wonder, when we go, what occurs, and who might be the speakers. So I did kind of bring a list of who the speakers were, because we have a session where during the day that we have different sessions, they're leading different topics. So we had Amy Walters, who was the publisher and editor-in-chief of the Cook Political Report. Bill McBride, who is the executive director of the National Governors Association. Jennifer Granholm, Secretary of Energy, U.S. Department of Energy, and Alejandra Castillo. She is the Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Economic Development, U.S. Department of Commerce, and Julie Su, who is the Acting Secretary of Labor with the U.S. Department of Labor. So, people who are definitely influential on that federal level, who could kind of give us an insight about, what they're seeing in their offices and maybe where things lead. Of course, the opportunity for us, I think for all of us, is really when we get to then go up to the Hill and we get to actually have those one-on-one conversations with the legislators. And while we really had a good conversation with Mark Alfred, it was a small group, so it's easy to have that conversation. There were probably about 5 or 6 of us in the room, and and just can have that casual conversation to really tell them, the impact that community colleges are having, and what our needs are. We met with Schmidt, thank you, Schmidt. He walked into a room though of like 25 people, and so it was even half the size, and I don't even know half the size of this room. And so you just know that his legislative assistant was first, and then when he walks in, here's all of this. And but again, he did listen. The time was short, but we know that he appreciates community colleges and for what they've done. So we hope that our message can get to them, to him as well. And then Josh Hawley met with his legislative, Josh Hawley? No, yeah. Josh Hawley, yeah. And then we were able to, through Justin's, I'm going to not burst his bubble, because then we got a little bit of another opportunity while we were there because of Justin's connection. But, seeing other people, of course, is always important when you go to these. You get to talk with other trustees, what's happening in their colleges and all over the state. So, of course, I always feel very fortunate to be from this beautiful college that we have here at State Fair Community College. So I appreciate the opportunity to get to go and hope to have that impact on those legislators that, you know, they understand some of our issues and needs for our students.
Yeah. I think the big takeaway for me was just that. I mean, I'll say, Mark Alford took the time to actually meet us. I know Schmidt was there, but I felt Alford was very kind of intimate, he asked questions, really had an understanding of what we were looking to do as from community college level. And I really think he can be an advocate for us. And, you know, we were fortunate enough to see him at the airport on the way out, and he really spoke highly of us again, and how much he wants to support community colleges and continue down that road in Farm Bill. And I mean, I thought he was very receptive to that. And then, yeah, as Patty mentioned, I had the opportunity to spend some time with Representative J.P. Smith. He runs the southern half of Missouri, but spent some time with his staff, and they kind of give us a tour of the Capitol and some behind the scenes stuff. And then we were able to sit in on the gallery and listen to part of the opening session there, which is kind of interesting because they took our cell phones and our watches, and you know, you couldn't take all that in there with you. So it was kind of cool to kind of go in there and listen, and as they had some opening statements. And you know, that's probably the big thing for me was the day on the Hill, and just I felt that's where we made the most impact and was able to really have our voice heard. And the speakers were good. And I think the initiative of, you know, continuing down, how do we help community college grow, and funding and Farm Bill, and was all heard. So yeah, that was a really good time.
You have a special connection. You're not telling me that you have that special connection to Jason.
I'm very fortunate to know Jason Smith. Went to school with him for years, know his family, know Jason very well, and he is definitely an advocate for the state of Missouri and community colleges. And yeah,
He was busy, so didn't get to
he was
do it,
busy.
but
They had some
you made
last
that
minute.
connection.
Yeah, he's the head of Ways and Means right now, so he had some last minute obligations. But very Grayson Donaldson is his kind of chief of staff leader kind of guy, and he's very welcome. He was able to talk to us and took some of our information back, even though Jason doesn't serve our community college, he still serves the state. It was pretty cool to see some of his offices and spend some time with his staff too. So
Some of our key points that we advocated for, two involved the Pell Grant. One is providing funding for Pell Grant funding for workforce development training for short-term training. Currently, that's excluded from being funded in Pell Grant. So that provides another opportunity to get for students to get funds for those short-term programs where they can get in, get trained quickly, and get to work. Another one is to correct an oddity that occurs with community colleges. With community college students who receive Pell Grants, if their Pell Grant is beyond their college tuition, they have to pay taxes on the balance. And that's only really pertinent to community college students. In universities, their tuition is often greater than the Pell Grant. So it ends up that community college students get penalized for being, you know, by having to pay taxes on money they're getting to help them go to school because they can't afford it. So it just doesn't make sense for that. And so we had good conversations with Representative Alford and others about that. And there's a bill in place to get that fixed. And there seems to be some bipartisan support for that. And then the final thing was on the Farm Bill. The Farm Bill is a long-standing piece of legislation that's up for renewal actually last year. It's being debated now, but over all those years, there's no funding in the Farm Bill for job training for community college job training for agriculture. And so there's a group of representatives and senators that are proposing around $200 million in funds for community college job training. So we advocated on behalf of that and received very good a comment on that. We actually met with the legislative assistant from Missouri for a legislator from another state who is a former Missouri cattlewoman that Patty knew, and she is on the Farm Bill committee. So she's charged with helping to write the Farm Bill. And so we had a good meeting with her about that Farm Bill. So those three pieces of legislation that were well received. I would say one last thing, just to plant a seed. Metropolitan brought a couple of students And it was an amazing experience for those students. And I will say those legislators, they don't care about a college president being there, but they care about those students and they could really tell the story about the impact of Pell Grant on their training and things like that. And so that might be something we should think about in subsequent years, is taking a couple of students along.
Agreed, yes. Any other board discussion? Just want to say thanks to all that's been happening. I know lots of activity on campus, so always say thanks to your teams who do such an awesome job. All right, organizational meeting.
The
Dr. Bates?
state law requires after an election for us to hold an organizational meeting within 14 days of that election to certify the results and to administer the oath of office to those new board members, and then to nominate and vote for officers for the board. And so we're proposing that organizational meeting be held on Thursday, April 11th, for those legal purposes.
I need to put a time.
At 5:30.
All right, so I would entertain a motion then to have that organizational meeting.
Motion to approve as amended.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
And clarification real quick on conversation, is that here in the boardroom or will be hosted in the lobby back again? Do we know where that will be held, that board meeting?
We anticipate having it here.
Thank you.
All righty.
Next meeting of the board is a regular session of March 28th at 5:30. We anticipate having a work session prior to at 4:45 p.m. For the purpose of budget discussions. And at that meeting, we'll approve the tuition rate and the employee remuneration package in big segments of our budget. So we want to make sure the board has a good understanding of where we're at with the budget process. So Keith will be leading that work session at 4:45 p.m.
Keith, do you have an idea of how far lead time we have the documents? Where we've gotten communication?
How, let me rephrase it. Is there a time lead like that?
I'd like to have at least a week if it's possible.
We'll do our best to have a week.
So we will be going into closed session, but just want those of you to know that, we will go into closed session, and as soon as that is done, when we come out, then there is no other business, so we will adjourn the general session, just so that you know. And so with that, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session for hiring, firing, discipline, or promotion of personnel pursuant to RSMO section 610.0213.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Amy Bashir,
Yes.
Ken Carr, Justin Hub,
Yes.
Tom Oldham, Richard Parker,
Yes.
and Patricia Wood.
Yes.
I'd like to ask that Dr. Mergers can take and Mr. Semino.
I'm sorry, yes.
I don't know the answer to that.
So, thanks for all of you